To our top story this hour, President Trump now appears to be backing plans to boost military spending to a whopping $750 billion. The about-face comes a week after Trump shocked his own military brass when he tweeted that the country's current military spending of about $716 billion was, quote, crazy. At a time when the federal government is trying to tighten its belt on wasteful spending, it appears the U.S. defense will be spared. RT's Caleb Maupin has the story.
The U.S. defense budget is already enormous, and it might get bigger, which some politicians find to be funny.
I'm pushing towards $780 billion. I just now thought of it. It's a good high number.
Last week, Donald Trump thought this spending was crazy, but now he's pushing for an even bigger figure. But hey, what's a few billion between the American taxpayers and the president, right? The Pentagon budget is so big that at this point the numbers seem abstract to most Americans. But what is worse is that at this point we don't even know how they're spending the money. Between 1998 and 2015, there were $21 trillion worth of unaccounted spending. Now, somehow, these discrepancies were actually bigger than the overall budget itself. Let's make these numbers real. $21 trillion. That's roughly 3,500 trips to Mars or 7 million Bugattis, the world's most expensive car.
Okay, attitude, roll.
Now, recently, the Pentagon tried to pass its first ever audit, and it failed. But the Defense Department doesn't seem so worried.
We never thought we were going to pass an audit, right? Everybody was betting against us that we wouldn't even do the audit.
Now, a journalist from The Nation magazine recently tried to unravel how so much money could be unaccounted for. Here's what he told us.
It's actually larger than all the U.S. debt in the history of the country. It's a huge number. If the Pentagon was being honest, they would tell Congress each year when they submit the financial statements for the current year and prior years' accounts that what they're giving them is garbage. The money that they don't spend each year gets stashed away in secret places within the Pentagon and gets used without any accountability at all. So this means that they're able to do black operations that get no oversight. That fund is now could be as large as $100 billion, which I would note is larger than Russia's entire military spending and close to China's entire annual military spending.
Since 2008, the mantra in the Western world has been austerity. Tighten our belts, cut spending. Well, those who seriously want to cut spending ought to look at the Pentagon. If one kept the books that way in the private sector, they'd be locked up. But it seems pretty clear that the U.S. military plays by a different set of rules. Caleb Maupin, RT, New York.
And to talk more about the defense budget, we have special guest in studio, former Pentagon senior security policy analyst, Michael Maloof. All right, Mike, great to see you. Been a long time.
Yeah.
So this colossal defense spending bill is apparently about to get bigger, more bloated. The bulk of this money, though, usually goes to the Pentagon's base budget. You worked at the Pentagon for many years. Where is the money actually going? Where is the transparency?
Well, the money is supposed to go, if it's appropriated, authorized and appropriated, it's supposed to go to replenish salary increases, but also for the more strategic weapons, as well as nuclear buildup that Trump wants. Now, what you got to understand, which was not mentioned here, is that there is a sequestration law in effect that limits the defense budget to $650 billion. So the request by the chiefs, Joint Chiefs of Staff, for 700, and then 716, and then Trump put in 750 billion on top of that.
800.
Yeah. It doesn't. You got that sequestration thing that knocks it down to almost $100 billion. Beyond less than what Trump is asking for. And Congress has already, the House at least, the Democrats in the House have already said they want the nuclear portion cut. So there's going to be another Donnybrook going on here. There's going to be another war within a war just in Congress over the defense budget, and I think it's going to create tremendous concerns. But you also have a separate contingency fund operations, which is separate from the budget. So it's not under any of the restrictions that of sequestration or anything like that.
We're looking at 2 years down the line, right? Because they've already approved next year's fiscal budget. So so we've got a couple years. So if this doesn't happen right away, they've got some time to work through, right?
No, no, because they need the money now, and you also got to consider too that Trump wants the Defense Department to basically build the wall, and that's not even authorized. Right. And he already wants that money to come out of the defense budget. So this is going to be a long haul, and it's going to be a knockdown, drag out. And I think it's going to be, it's not going to be pretty.
Now, about a month ago, several well-known private firms were hired to audit the Pentagon. They concluded that the DoD's financial records were riddled with so many irregularities. There were errors, bookkeeping problems. Simply put, they just said a reliable audit was literally impossible. What are your thoughts on that?
That's true. There's never been any accountability, any accurate accountability, and the one time they got audited, they failed. The audit failed. And yet they have an army of accountants at the Pentagon who just can't get it right. And you have so many secret funds and other contingency funds and when you consider that we're talking trillions of dollars which are unaccounted for, it's larger than what the budget request is.
Well, I've had someone describe it to me as sort of playing telephone, but with money. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's out of control, and even Congress cannot get a handle on this thing in order to pinpoint where the difficulties lie. And if the Pentagon can't do it, and the Congress is basically dead on arrival and trying to figure it all out, nothing's going to happen, and you're just going to be talking big numbers. They come in every quarter anyway for supplemental funds anyway, so the budget could be even greater when you look at what they approved initially.
Well, but lastly, the political hawks argue that supporting the budget is there to keep us safe. Does that mean pouring more money is going to make us safer, or does this look like we're entering sort of this new arms race?
I've never seen the world as unsafe as it is right now, notwithstanding all the budget spending that's going on.
Is it really?
Yes, it really is. I haven't just come back from the Middle East. I haven't my ear to the ground. I'm very concerned about events there. But that aside,
so the threats are real.
The threats are real. I know peace through strength and all of that. But the reality is, you need a war in order to justify your defense spending. And what we saw with the experience of Trump vis-a-vis Saudi Arabia, at all costs, he wants those defense budgets. And in order to justify that, you've got to have wars. So. This is just a symbiotic relationship that keeps on going and going and going, and I don't know where you put a stop to it.
That's just, it's painful to hear, and images are harder to take in, but you were on the inside. Thank you, as always, for sharing your expertise with us, Michael Maloof.
Pleasure.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.